many of you don't stop and think about situations or decisions, and then soon you later regret it? Well, I tend to do that a lot, and I know most people do. And there's a quote like Quisenberry that the future is like the present, only longer. I know, and I do agree with that, because with me, I'll tend to put aside homework and to do less important things, like go hang out with friends or watch TV, and there'll be a test that week and I don't know the material because I didn't do the homework, and then I'll get a bad grade or something like that. Or I know I should be working out with football and everything, and to get bigger and stronger, faster. But I go to the beach or doing other stuff like that, and I won't really go work out and stuff. And I know later on that will affect me during season. And then another thing is having a job. I don't really like working, so most people, they don't really like working, but you gotta make money somehow. So that later on in life, it'll be easier to live. You'll have money, and so yeah. So the future, make the present only longer. And yeah.
Well, the question for the audience at the beginning is okay, but the phrasing seems a little awkward, and it doesn't get you to the topic as neatly as I think you had thought it was going to. Once you got to the topic, you basically had a point of view that you identified, and that's fine. There's not really a setup of what the supporting structure is going to be, although in the body of the speech I did hear 2 or 3 pretty distinct areas that you're talking about. So if you lay that out a little bit more at the beginning, I think it'll help remind you where you're headed as well. The examples don't develop very much. You've got some vague references to ideas and concepts. You do use some personal points of view on that, which is perfectly fine, but you ought to be telling us a little bit more of a story about that. For instance, you're getting ready to do test this week, and you're supposed to have a speech ready, and how's all that studying going for what's going on right now? And think about something particular that you should have been practicing on or working on in the gym to get stronger. And how I like the idea that you make the reference to, look, I didn't do it before, and so now I've got this consequence during the season, and I'm underprepared. And I'm just wondering, okay, well, what is it? What would we have seen? What would be different? How would it have made a difference in your life? I think that you needed to bring those to life a little bit with some more personality and details. The presentation issues, you project pretty well. There's not a lot of variety in your voice. It seems very low-key and subdued. You're moving along through the speech pretty reasonably up until the end, which felt a little bit abrupt. Basically, there are no gestures. You kind of have your hands crossed for most of the time that you're speaking. Your expressions are also a bit limited. You've got the beanie hat on also, so that might undermine our ability to read all those expressions quite as much. At least it's not pulled down too far. But I think you want to be thinking about making a stronger impression with the audience that way. Eye contact's okay. You're not really engaged with your body movement. You just happen to be there. So there's nothing nervous that's going on with any of that. But you also don't seem to be particularly engaged or involved with what you're talking about. And I think you can be more dynamic that way. At the end of the speech, you did kind of have a conclusion, but it doesn't really say much about what the point was or remind us of what the content was, and I think that could be a little bit more effective. And there were 3 or 4 times when "and stuff" became the transition phrase of choice, and I think you could probably do a little better than that. Good deal.